Hi guys, Todd Turnwald here with Senior Life and the Turnwald Group. Today's show, Rising Stars. I got my guest here, my partner Ricky Ballard. Obviously, if you guys are familiar with Ricky, of course he's not a rising star, he is a star. But what he's doing right now in Dallas, Texas, in the Wiley area is building a lot of stars. So I thought, man, since we're here, what better guy to have on here to give you guys some education, some of you guys that are newer in the business. Maybe a little different shift in the mindset. Ricky's been in the life insurance industry for a long time. He then shifted into the Medicare here recently, last few years, and has built a heck of a Medicare agency, and then starting to shift back here a little bit. So we'll get into that. But man, today's show is going to be fantastic, and I appreciate you being here with me, Ricky.
Yeah, thanks for having me on.
Yeah, man. So this is going to be real good for you guys. So basically, Ricky, I'm going to let you just kind of take off here and tell us a little bit. Obviously you're a football coach, you're a high school teacher, like a lot of you guys out there. He didn't come out of the womb doing insurance. It's not really in his vocabulary until a little bit later in life. But share that with us a little bit, Ricky, on where you started. And
Sure, I'm 11 years into the space. Started in the final expenses space. Was always in the broker world, so I didn't know anything different. Had a wonderful trainer, brought me into the space, taught me how to knock doors, taught me how to run the I formation, taught me how to do things the right way, asked for referrals. I was really blessed, had some of the best training come out of the gate.
that's awesome.
I credit a lot of my career to him. His name's David Lloyd. I'll give him a shout out.
Good.
We don't work together anymore, but was very grateful for the training that I got out of the gate. It was a volume play. I think this business is simple. I think if you have a contract, you have leads, you keep the business on the book, you can win in this space. I think we try to make it a lot more than what it is. I think, how fast can I get my guys a contract? How fast can I get my guys some leads? And how simple is the process to sell? And, I shifted to the Medicare space because I got to a point in my career I wanted to focus on passive income. So that started to happen. But that's easy for me to do from where I'm at in my career. And as I started to grow my agency on the Medicare side, I realized how important it is for new agents to be able to infuse capital into their company. I'm very comfortable in the final expense space. And so as I started to learn about Senior Life, and I started to learn about partnered with the Legacy package, it's something that I would sell to my family. It's something that I would take out on myself. And so it's really hard to take a no when you believe in what you're doing.
100%.
And, so it's definitely a value sell. It's something that's there that you can believe in, and it's something that's going to bring real value to your clients. It's something that works really well in the marriage with my agency and what I'm doing.
So going back to like when you first started, you didn't have really Medicare in the game.
No.
And now that you're building, you got your agency building, you're bringing in, a lot of guys, and some of them are younger, and some of them are in their 30s and 40s, and you're introducing the Medicare piece, and that's really when we start really getting to know each other. You had the Medicare really, you had that train moving fast. So what was what would you, so you're building a lot of rising stars. And I say that factually because these guys are getting a lot of Medicare apps on the books. Like my main focus is final expense. But you're attracting a lot of guys and putting them guys in a very financially sound environment with the approach that you're taking, first with the Medicare, now you're adding Senior Life. But talk to us a little bit about that.
Sure. Well, I've been listening to a whole bunch of guys online, talk about growth and talk about, getting bigger and doing all of these things. But what does that really mean? Sometimes in our business models, those things don't mean, growth doesn't mean more revenue. Growth doesn't mean, what I want to see happen is the guys that I'm working with, growth be in their bank account. That's where I want that to happen. I want my guys to be able to see that over time that we're making every decision with the end goal in mind. And, so sometimes we can get on a hamster wheel where we're just running so fast, and that doesn't even calculate risk. No one wants to talk about risk in this business. No one wants to talk about lead risk. No one wants to talk about roll-up debt risk. Nobody wants to talk about, is there enough integrity in your margin and those types of things. And so I kind of wanted to take a step back, and I wanted to be in a situation where I could build a platform where we mitigated risk. I think as managers and as agency owners, our responsibility is to eliminate as much risk as possible. I think that's our job. I think we should pay attention to that, because as the leader of my organization, if I'm in a bind financially, or I'm having huge amounts of debts, how can I really lead my team? My house is not in order. And so I needed to create some stability. I needed to create some calmness, so that not only was I had stable passive income, did my team have stable passive income, but also that they had an end goal, like where they knew that they could be at a situation where they would have a time where they could just manage their block in their business. And so that was my mindset. My mindset went to that. The things, I think I can be really transparent on this call.
Absolutely.
The things that really turned me off about life insurance was the risk. And with what's currently going on in the space is that there's a lot of risk that is not justified by the margin. And most people are not going to teach that to their people. Mm-hmm. They're just going to say, oh, go take a nickel on these guys and give them $1 million loan on a nickel. Even though you're bringing all the value, the leads, and everything else to them to make them be successful, and all you're doing is building a house on sand. Yeah. And so, but if you can build in a passive platform married with that infusion, and where you can bring real value and longevity and an exit, then your persistency and your agents are going to stay. Yeah. Your long-term in the business is going to stay. You're going to be able to, most of the time, we don't even train our agency owners or GAs, whatever you want to call them. We don't train them with any end goal in mind. It's just production, weekly production. Conversations in my agency are not about that.
Yeah.
Mine are, how fast can we get you to 800? What tools do I need to put in your tool belt that I can get you to 800? How can I help infuse capital to help your company be more successful? Yeah. Right? And those are the things that matter. How can I get 3 hooks in each client so that you are the person that they call when they have a need, so persistency goes up? So my mindset's not on that fast cash grab. Mine is on building relationships with my clients that are lasting and that will stick for the long term. I'm focused more on persistency than production.
Yeah. So, if I'm understanding this correctly, everything in this industry has turned into it. And full disclosure, I mean, we had this conversation last night. My feeling is, if you're good, you can kill it anywhere. Yep. Right? Really, with any company.
Absolutely.
Now, we feel like we have a really good platform in senior life, and obviously Ricky does on the Medicare side. But everything turned to fast money, quick money, high comps, maybe we got a lot going on here today, with very little talk about residual. And I can remember when I got in the industry, and that wasn't that long ago, at least it don't feel that long ago, it was around 2015, everything that was taught to me then was all about residual. It was about back-end money. And it seems like with a lot of places, that's going away.
Yep. It's not even the talk, it's just a cash grab now. And it's a cash grab without any coaching on risk.
Yeah.
And so we have to educate our people. Like, if we're in the financial literacy or the financial coaching market for people, we also need to be teaching our agents those things.
100%.
We need to be in a situation to where we're like, hey, what is the front end? What is the back end? What is your exit strategy? What is your business plan? And these are conversations that are just not being had anymore, because you can take a guy that is just a decent salesman, but maybe not a good businessman, and he can go out and make
100%.
200 grand a year, but he's not going to pay attention to the details because the coaching is not there. Because what do we talk about? Growth. But let's slow down and let's talk a little bit about value. Let's talk about long-term relationships. Let's talk about the end goal and an exit strategy. Let's talk about things that really matter in this space. And when I came in 11 years ago, it was all back end.
Yeah.
We were talking about, hey, Rick, man, that mailbox money matters. And what we've done by, people just putting out these ridiculous commission levels with no restrictions on those commission levels, we've kind of taken an amazing space, and it's kind of lost its integrity in the structure, because now guys that are just running a shop on life insurance are doing nothing but taking risk. Yep. They're giving out, let's say you run a $5 million shop. Well, you're giving out a $5 million loan on a 10% override? That's ridiculous. Banks won't even do that. Yeah. Would someone give me, anybody that's willing to give me $5 million right now on a 10%, let's sit down and talk. That's, that's, and we're doing that with guys that aren't running businesses that real estate backed. It's not a some type of equity play there, right? And so as you're kind of looking at this stuff, we just have to be smarter, and we need to really make this sustainable. And over my, if you call it tenure, I still feel young in the business. There's so many guys that are so good at this, I still feel young in the space, but in my tenure in the space, this time I'm building everything with the end goal in mind. I'm going to identify where my guys are. We're going to set a goal of where they want to go, and we're going to put them in the correct vehicle to get them there. And that's infusing capital into their company by writing life insurance, which I'm very excited to do with Senior Life. That's going to be awesome. We're going to focus on persistency. We're going to also build a back-end residual with Medicare. We're going to make sure there's a passive income play there. And we can set an end goal, whether that end goal is 800, 1200, 1500, 400. It doesn't matter to me. The main thing is can I keep my guys fed long enough to where there is real mailbox money in this space? Right. That's the goal.
That's a great point, because what you're doing is getting these guys profitable early on. They're seeing some light at the end of the tunnel, really right away, rather than keeping them in the dark.
Sure.
And we've talked about, I know we had these conversations a lot over the last, 6-8 months, close to a year, about getting back in the life space. And I'll be honest, Ricky was like, and I've got a good thing going here. I really don't want to mess with that a whole lot. But as his son, Caden, who's been on this show, started getting more and more involved, and these guys made a trip to Ohio to kind of see what we're doing. Let me ask you, we've been talking about this for a year. Why now do you feel like Senior Life's important? Why do you feel like, okay, I want to bring this in to my son, Caden? I want to open these doors for him and some of the agents that he's bringing in.
Well, I think sometimes my life is an oxymoron. I pride myself in my humility. I think some of my pride was getting in the way, right? I was raised in the broker model. I was raised in a different mindset. The only value we brought to our clients in a broker space was price and amount of insurance. And so, and these are products that I'd sold for years and done well with, but I never bought myself. Okay, and I never sold to my family. I never have sold. You guys are gonna laugh at this. Don't hold this against me, but I've never sold any of those products in warm market. Okay. I didn't sit in church and sell these to people. I didn't talk to friends and family. I didn't want to be that guy in the space. So I worked a lead. I cranked on a lead, and I went to work, and then I generated all of my revenue and production off of a lead.
Yep.
And then as Caden kind of, as we were in Ohio doing some stuff, working with some agents and learning about Senior Life and Legacy, my eyes were opened up. I was like, man, the legacy piece is something that makes a lot of sense, to have somebody negotiate this. And I was able to put myself in the shoes of if I lost my mom or my dad.
Oh,
and I was like, hey, I don't want to have to be up there fighting with a funeral home. I don't want to be flipping tables over in the funeral home because they're jabbing me for 20 grand. I wanted someone to advocate for me, and especially in an emotional state of mind, and all those things are going on. I wanted it to be a celebration of life. I wanted it to be all the things that I was selling but wasn't really delivering on because of the products and the tool belt that I had. And I'm not saying anything that I've done in the past was wrong. I'm not saying that. I'm saying that now that I've become educated on why, I want to sell on value. I want to sell on persistency. I want to fight for my book of business and why it makes sense. I'm not in a fast sell money play anymore. I'm not, and I feel that what's happened a lot culturally and systematically in the life insurance space is it's all a revenue play. It's all a revenue play. Yeah. How fast, how big can you sell and get immediate revenue? But then next year in January, it's how fast, how big can I sell to keep my revenue?
Yeah.
And I don't want to do that. I want to fight for my clients. I want to know that the companies that I'm partnered with know that when something falls off the books and something happens, that there's reason for me to call them and fight for that business. And that's not the culture of our space. People can say that's what's going on, but look at the persistency across the board. Right. Look at the struggles that are going on. It's a right and run. Yeah. After 9 months for sure. And I don't want to do that. I want my agents to go in and have a service mindset. I want them to go in and want to really bring value to their clients. I want them to manage 3 aspects of their book of business so our persistency is better. And I want them to fight for that block. I mean, I'd be completely happy if even life insurance was all passive.
Yeah,
I would.
So, that's kind of the neat thing is you're practicing what you preach. every time that I've spoken to you, really it's all about passive money. Really, that's been the name of your game here for the last year. How do we build passive income? And that's what really attracted me even more and more with these guys, because they weren't about the fast money. They wanted to build longevity. They wanted to see their guys get efficient and profitable right off the rip. So I love that. But you hit kind of a key point there, because there's a lot of great leaders in this space. There's a lot of really, really good companies. So we recognize that. But the one thing that stuck out, what you just said, is what would I want from my mom and dad? What would I want from myself? And when we're really the only company out there that's going to lock in all your merchandise and truly negotiate, that's not smoke and mirrors. Like, that's real.
Yep.
You can go right to the legacy office, and I have my own clients that, I can speak with their families on their experience, and that's all I really want. So, I think Caden even brought that up to you.
Yep.
And I think that's kind of when it hit home for you. Is like, what would you want?
Yep.
Would you want company A or, Senior Life, where they're going to take care of all this stuff? Is that right?
Yeah. Well, sadly, 6 months ago, it was nothing. I mean, honestly, 6 months ago, I wasn't selling any of it. I wasn't putting it anywhere. I just wasn't going to do it. And now that I've kind of seen that, number one, Senior Life is going to protect me when I grow an agency in debt.
Yeah.
It's in place to where I can have that in place. I can get leads immediately at a very fair price,
Yep.
Which means a lot to me.
Sure does.
I can generate presentations, and then I can get a contract in 48 hours.
Yeah.
Like, I can take a guy that's non-licensed that, I'm recruiting and bringing on a lot of grassroots folks now. My focus is, not getting in a battle with other agencies. I don't want to do that. There's just so many good people in this space that, and I have a lot of great relationships. I don't want to do that if I don't have to,
Right.
Like, if people reach out to me, I'm going to talk to them.
Sure.
And a funny thing is, guys, is that I talk to probably, let's just say one a week, right?
Sure,
Of
sure.
agencies, and man, I'm doing $1 million in production. I'm doing this and that. Blah, 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 blah. And I'm like, okay, how much money are you making?
Yeah.
What is your end goal?
Yeah.
How much passive back-end residual income do you have? And when I get to those things, the answers are always like, well, I'm like, bro, you're gonna be 50 years old banging knuckles, man. Keep doing what you're doing. You'll keep getting what you're getting. And I said that yesterday.
100%.
And so, like, I really want to try to create a platform, and I think I have partnered with Senior Life, a platform where there will be longevity in the space, that people can have real targets to hit and knock down.
Yep.
I think that I hope that, and I know that Senior Life will see the value in us fighting for the book.
Yep.
And the relationships.
Sure they will.
Because we want to focus not on production, but on persistency. Production will come with the relationships.
Yeah.
Production's a byproduct of building correct systems.
Yep.
And it always will be. And so most production right now in the life insurance space is all smoke and mirrors anyway. It's all monopoly money till month 9 anyway.
Yeah.
So they're just giving you a loan, and honestly, guys, 30% of it's a bad loan.
Yeah.
If you look at 70% persistency in the space, 30% of the money that you're getting is bad. So if you're on a 20-point margin, that means 7% of that money is bad. That's not even including the roll-up. So it's just for me, I wanted to create something that it has longevity, and I think we're there. And it's easy for me. So, like, there's a lot to learn when you're selling multiple carriers and you're contracting with multiple carriers, and then you're also having to train on why you go with certain carriers. This eliminates all that for me. This makes it very streamlined. We're selling on value. We take the high road. Go get 5 policies a week. Go write 10 Medicare Advantages a week. Stay focused on what you're doing, and this is the value I can bring you. It's a system that we use, and it all makes sense, and everybody wins.
Well, what we're seeing right now, especially with your group in Dallas, we're seeing this in Ohio and some other areas. We can basically go in, we can train guys in about 2 to 3 days, have a full-blown, our system's so duplicatable that once we have those first 2-3 days, let's call it even 5, from there on, we're just taking those guys and helping them grow.
Yep.
We'll constantly do training calls or whatever is needed, but it's not every single day that we're having to train guys on different carriers and, hey, I'm waiting on this contract, I'm waiting on that contract. And again, there's a lot of different ways to kill it in this business.
Yeah.
But what we found is we are minimizing risk, and we're duplicating our process so much quicker.
Yeah.
And that's where people are winning. We can get them winning in week 1 and have them really everything that they need.
Yep.
Right? So then after that, and then we're just helping their leaders grow and grow. So we got, 25 guys in the Dallas area that we're going to have up and running very quickly. And then it's just whatever level that they want to take it.
Yep.
Right? And that's kind of where we're at. So if you're kind of a new, so what Ricky's basically doing is building rising stars in Texas. I mean, let's just call it what it is.
Yep.
And he's doing that by teaching them, longevity, how to be efficient, how to be profitable, how to build your passive income, but how to get that upfront money as well. That way you can make your living. So, I feel like you're doing a wonderful job, because what I'm seeing down there, and I got to see it with my own eyes, everybody really in this country right now, it's all, and I'm nothing against college, but everything's go to college, and a lot of these guys are, you're going to college and you don't know what you want to get into. You're getting into situations, you're away from home, and you're probably putting yourself maybe in an at-risk position, because really no one's showing you that there's other avenues out there. Let's just kind of call it what it is. And there actually is. And basically what he's doing with a lot of college-age kids is providing them a great place to stay, but showing them how to build a passive income, and then showing them how to get ahead with the senior life. So his son's 19 now, Caden. So we're talking to you guys who are just graduating high school, or maybe like my daughter, she's going to be a senior this year, or maybe you tried a year in college and college wasn't your thing. And again, I don't want my wife mad at me, Ricky. She likes education, and she's not wrong for that. I mean, because of her education, she's done very well for herself and for our family. So I'm not totally against it, but college isn't for everybody, and debt certainly isn't for everybody.
No.
And to just go somewhere to have a good time is definitely the wrong guidance. So share with these guys a little bit on what your mindset is for guys who, maybe they don't want to go to school.
Well, let's just look at the statistics. Right now, there's more 18 to 21-year-old young men living back at home with their parents than ever in the history of our country, except for during the Great Depression. If that's the model that's not broken, I don't know what is. Let's send you to college and take $100,000 in student loan debt to go make $50,000 a year, and then get married and spend $25,000 on your wedding, and then let's go and buy a house for $280,000. Then let's buy a nice car. Now we're at $600,000 in debt, making $60,000 a year, and now we're enslaved to the middle class. And what they've done is create a ceiling for us. They've made it to where we have to punch a time clock, and I don't care who you call they is, you can call it whoever you want to call it. It is what it is. And so I was one of the guys that did that. I was raised by great parents, great moral compass, great work ethic, and I was to go to college, man. And I mean, I turned 18 and I got a $50 bill and a slap on the butt and good luck, man. And I was in college and trying to figure it out, and I got a degree, and I took the debt, and my wife got a degree and she took the debt, and we both were school teachers. I thought I'd be a head football coach and she'd be the librarian of some little country town. But when you got $100,000 hanging over your head in student loan debt, we were enslaved. We were enslaved to the debt, and there's something better. This space right here, my son, okay, before he's 21 years old, will be making $200,000 in passive income. No debt. That's what he'll be doing.
How?
I mean, he's writing 10 a week. He writes 10 Medicare Advantages a week like clockwork, 2 a day. He's up in the morning. Well, you saw it. Yep. You stayed at the house. We have a house where there's a bunch of kids that I've recruited in. So we hired 17 people in the last week. None of them non-licensed, right? We're getting them licensed, training them, scaling them, and grassroots all the way through. I have 6 of them living in a house.
Yep.
I mean, and they're getting mentored, they're getting trained, they're getting all the things that they need. The requirement is get up, write 2 a day, write 1 life insurance policy a day. Yep. And we're just pouring into them. And then at night when they get home, what time did we get home? 10 o'clock that night?
Yeah.
They were all in bed.
They're in bed.
All 18, 19, 20-year-old kids that are laser focused on doing something right now that's different, so the rest of their lives can be different. And, you know, that's what I thought college was going to, that's what I was told college was going to do for me.
Right.
Go get educated. Your whole life will be different and your life's going to be so great. No, man, I was just like everybody else. I was punching a clock and I was getting paid by the man. Not anymore. Like, we can really make people have sustainable lifestyles. They can be entrepreneurs, control their schedule later on. Right now, it's a grind.
Yeah.
My guys are working hard 6 days a week around the clock, and then, you know, in 24 months, they'll be able to look up and say, holy cow, I've got a passive income stream of $15,000, $20,000, $25,000 a month. And then guess what I've created? I've created real business partners, people that I can go into business with in the future, that I can do those things. And hopefully my acumen as a business owner has gotten to a point where I can say, hey, let me mentor you. Let's figure out how to reallocate some of that. Let's do this correctly. And that's the goal, is I came into business to change people's lives, not for guys to sell stuff. If you want to sell stuff, they're hired down at the dealership. You know, if you want to sell stuff, you can go and sell auto parts. You know, I didn't come into my mind and my thinking so much bigger than that.
You know, what I love and what we don't like, there's legit people that want to go out. They want to be engineers. They want to be done, and we need those folks. Lawyers, you name it. I was not great in school, and I made that really clear. But what I've done a good job is working my tail off, treating people right, getting mentored by people ahead of me that have done it, and man, I mean, that's really how you win. So what I love is, you know, if young men or young ladies are out there and maybe they haven't been mentored all that well, or maybe their mindset is, now, you know, if your parents are all about paying for all of your schooling, well, that's okay.
Yeah.
That's okay. But if college and that's really not for you, there are other avenues out there.
Yep.
If it is something that you want to do, man, go do it. Absolutely, 100% go do it. But I feel very confidently between Ricky and myself, we can show you how to make we can put you on a very clear path with his system, with my system, and those two morph together of making 6 figures really inside of 12 months.
Absolutely. I mean, with the life insurance platform, we can show you how to make 6 figures in 12 months without a problem. I mean, that's, you know, write one life insurance policy a day in the field, you're gonna make 6 figures.
Yeah.
That's all there is to it. I mean, and you just gotta have a little bit of grit and be like, I'm not gonna go home until I get my one.
Yeah.
If you do that, you can be a 6-figure earner. But I also think that if you'll add 2 Medicare policies to that one life insurance policy, you'll be a 6-figure passive income earner in 12 months.
Yeah, and that's when it gets real.
That's when it gets crazy, you know. That's whenever there's freedom, right? Like right now, you know, and I'll challenge you guys. I'm gonna challenge everybody right here. Those of you guys that are running agencies and doing that, how much time do you really have? If you're running a $5 million agency right now, how much time do you really have? None. You can tell everybody, oh, I got this freedom. I know. If you're running a $10 million agency, you're locked. If you're running a $15 million agency, you are on an airplane flying around, jumping around like crazy all the time, and there's no end goal. What is the end goal? You know, you add in a passive income stream to what you're doing, I promise you, you'll be like, man, there's a chance for me to buy my time back. That's what the joy of being an entrepreneur is that you're trading money for time. Yeah. And there becomes a future, and I've seen guys do this. Like, I'll tip my hat to a lot of these guys in the Medicare space. They're out getting to go on these cool trips. They're getting to do this stuff, spend time with their families. They're driving King ranches. They're doing all this stuff. Their lives are stable. And I mean, I don't want their people. I don't want to recruit their people. We're growing grassroots. We're going to do what we're doing. What I am saying is that I want that for my family. Yeah. I want that for your family.
Yep,
I want that for your agent's family. I want that for my 19-year-old.
That's right.
And that is created with passive income. And that's why I started in this business 11 years ago. Elephant in the room. I was told I was going to get passive income by doing this. Didn't happen, right? It didn't happen. It was a lie. Just as much a lie as college is a lie, right? And now, with what I have going on here, this is not a lie.
Yeah.
I see the residual happening. I see what's going to happen in my life in January. Yeah. I see what's going to happen in my life a year from January. And that's awesome. And then there's 74 million people to market by 2024 in the Medicare space. Why would you not? It's a buffet. I mean, go. We don't even have to we can support each other. Like rising tides will raise all ships in this space.
Yeah.
We're not fighting over the same bone. And then every one of those people that we sit with, we can also help with their life insurance and do it compliantly and do it correctly. Like there's systems in place to do things the right way. But at the end of the day, service those people.
Right.
Be there to help them, and then let the commissions become a byproduct of the service to your client.
Yep.
You know, and I would argue, I would sit down, and anybody that's in the broker space, anybody that's selling a bunch of life insurance, if you'd like to sit down and talk to me about what you're doing compared to what we're doing, I'll talk to you about it. But be ready to have a real conversation. I feel I was one of the best in the space at that time, at a time doing those things. But be ready to have a real conversation, and I'm not going to hold punches on what I believe and what I see going on here in the future, because a lot of you right now, take this to the bank, you've built your house on sand. And one big storm comes, something happens, your house is going to fall. And it may be falling right now, and you're too prideful to have a conversation.
Right.
So, I mean, and that's an ugly truth in this industry, you know? And so if you are not currently building passive income in some way, shape, or form, your house is built on sand.
He's not lying.
So.
And we are residual income is extremely important to us. Like, we value that, and we pride ourselves in that, and we're taking a lot of steps to keep creating more and more of that, because we believe in it. You know, we believe in that steady flow of income that's going to pay out over the course of several years, and it just keeps multiplying. That's where it's at. That's where you're going to have the longevity in the business.
Yep.
So, man, Ricky, every time I come here, I love this place. I love everything that it's about. There's a lot of really good folks here. I love what we're building here together. You know, I feel like our culture is really morphing into one.
Yep.
And you know, I love the fact that you put the trust in myself and Ron and Robert Shiver and Senior Life. You got to meet those guys.
Yep.
You know, obviously you feel very comfortable with them and have a lot of respect for them. So I appreciate that.
Yep.
So, man, I can't think of a better guy to have on this call, because we're seeing what you're doing with new agents,
Yep.
young agents, and I absolutely love it. And just providing a bunch of stability. So, my man, thank you.
You bet, man.
This was a lot of fun here today. I'm sure we'll
Yeah.
be doing this here again.
Absolutely.
You know, if you want to reach out to Ricky Ballard at any point, Ricky, what would be a good way to reach out? What's your email? What's your...
So I'm an old school guy, but you can hit me on Facebook at any time. I know a lot of you guys are doing some of the other stuff. A lot of my efforts have been grassroots, guys, just so you know. My shift has changed a little bit. But I mean, if you're a struggling agency or an agent that feels like, you know, you're on the hamster wheel, you can hit me at ricky.ballard@americanentitlements.com. You can, you know, always reach out to me on Facebook, friend me on Facebook. That's the only social media that I currently use. And I'd be happy to, you know, you can slide up in my DMs and let me know what I can do to help. But, you know, at the end of the day, guys, we're turnkey. We're taking people that can't even spell HMO. We're taking people that don't even know what a simplified issue whole life is, and watching their lives transform and make changes. And that's what I'm excited about. That's what I started in the space about. And, you know, so I invite you to the table. I invite you to have a conversation. If you think I'm wrong, I invite you to have a conversation to prove me wrong. Be happy to do that too, you know. And so we're agent focused, guys. We have real leads, we have real training, we have real platforms, we have real passive income. We're winning in every angle of what we're doing now. And it took me 11 years of taking some bumps on my head. But like for my son, he's 19. Guys, I'm 41 years old. My son's cut 20 years off of his life because he's getting to just hook his trailer to the right truck and watch his business take off. And I'm not gonna, you know, I'm gonna prevent in every way that I can for him to take those bumps on his head. So let me help you do the same thing. Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah, let me help you do the same thing. So
Absolutely.
Let me know what I can do to help.
Yep, that's absolutely awesome. Hey, we appreciate you guys jumping on. We're going to try to keep bringing value and as much as we possibly can to you guys. We've been getting some great views. A lot of you guys have been reaching out to me, which I absolutely love it. Any way that we can help, we definitely will. So appreciate you guys tuning in here. And then until next week, we'll have our next guest on, and I'll let you know who that's going to be on Monday. And we'll go from there. Thanks.
Thanks, guys.